everyone, and welcome to the NAFCC discussion of the screening of Through the Night, sponsored by Homegrown. My name is Amy Schwenier, and I'm a Senior Manager of Membership and Volunteer Affairs with the National Association for Family Childcare. This panel discussion is also being broadcast on Facebook Live, and we want this experience to be as interactive as possible. So as you join us, please introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you're from and how long you've been a family childcare provider. Lynette Dumas, NAFCC's Executive Director, couldn't be with us today, but she wanted to share a few words with us all.
Hello, I'm Lynette Dumas, the Executive Director of the National Association for Family Childcare. I'm delighted to have you with us here for the screening of Through the Night, a wonderfully well done documentary that celebrates the strength, love, and selflessness of four women. By now, you've met three mothers whose lives intersect with Dolores Hogan, a 24-hour family childcare provider. We are fortunate to have Dolores with us today to share some of her reflections on a few of the things that came up in the film, things that many of us can relate to. I know that the discussion that follows will be rich and heartfelt, and I can't wait to dive in. But first, I'd like to thank Natalie Renew and her team at Homegrown for making this event possible through their generous sponsorship. For me, this is the kickoff of Provider Appreciation Week because you deserve so much more than one day. I hope that this will be the beginning of your self-care commitment. You who have toiled to educate, support, and spend tireless amounts of time with America's children over the last year of change and uncertainty, you deserve recognition and praise. So on behalf of the staff and board of NAFCC, I share the most sincere appreciation and thank you. Happy Provider Appreciation Week.
Thank you, Lynette. We have an amazing panel of three home-based family childcare providers, and today is about celebrating and honoring you and the importance of self-care. So let's get this celebration started, and Ellen, over to you.
Thank you. My name is Ellen Drolette, and I am from Burlington, Vermont. I have had a family childcare program for 27 years. And through that time, I've become passionate about advocating for children and family and accessible, affordable childcare. We know that parents can't afford it and we can't afford to raise the rates because they'll leave. So we're in a little bit of a conundrum. And I think now we're being recognized as essential, which is really, really exciting. It's an exciting time for childcare. I am a global leader with the World Forum Foundation, and I am a former board member of NAFCC, and I wrote the book Overcoming Burnout Strategies for Change, which was published in 2018 by Red Leaf Press. Tessie, over to you.
Hi, my name is Tessie Reagan. I am a provider in Rosamond, California. I'm actually a former military, and I was operating on a military base. I moved off base, and all of my clients followed me because of the care I provide and the structure that I provide for their children. So I still take care of all military children and provide them with the structure and education that they need. I am known as a very big mouth. I have been advocating for for family childcare providers in general for the entire time that I have done this. I moved from Germany, where my husband was stationed after I got out, Maryland, and now I'm in California, and he's retiring here next year. And he says he's not going to work with me, but I think he is. So. I love my job. I love providing preschool, pre-K education. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I'm second generation. My mother did it also. She was actually one of the first providers to be licensed through the military. And so I understand what it's like to open up your home and sometimes not feel like you have your time and your space and you're not giving enough maybe to your family, but you feeling like you have a purpose to fulfill to help other children.
Thank you, Tessie. We are honored to have Dolores Nunu Hogan, co-owner of Dee's Tots 24-hour childcare. Whew, 24 hours, man. That's God bless you. We're happy and honored and privileged to have you with us. In the documentary, one of the things that struck me, and it's funny because Amy and I both wrote down the quote, it's not just a job, it's our life. And how true is that? We can't walk into our house without walking into it. Providers are used to sharing their homes with the families they care for. What has the experience been like inviting the world into your program? Oh, you're still muted. Thank you.
Actually, it has been fantastic. It's something that I always wanted. I wanted the world to see what providers had to deal with and what we go through every day of our lives. And when the producer came into, knocked on the door and everything, my little heart, I love her. And she called me and asked me, to sit down and talk about daycare issues and stuff. As was like something I've been praying for the longest, because people don't seem to understand what providers go through and what parents go through also. It's not easy, like you said, opening up your home, giving every part of your home to daycare and to the parents. Sometimes you don't have time for yourself. It's like me and Patrick, we're married and everything. I think we married. I'm not sure. I think you might have just signed it and got slick with me. But to open up our home and give all of our time and all of our patience, all of our love and all of our care to daycare and the children. The children part is a wonderful part. I love that. I love the parents and things, but we never get enough. We never get time for ourselves. But we enjoy daycare. I've been doing it for almost 48 years now. Not trying to give my age away, but I've been doing it ever since I was 18 years old. So I really love. I can't see myself doing anything else. I really can't.
Thank you.
Oh, me. Okay. Yes, it was when Lauder came in. At first I was like, oh, here we go again, because we already did a magazine spread. We had a Norwegian, what was that? The Pacific Standard. We had a Norwegian newspaper also interview us, NPR radio and stuff like that.
Wow.
And we just like moving along. We don't hold big flags up to say, hey, look at us and things like that. As most providers, we just do the job. We do what we have to do. We don't need the fanfare, but we at the same time, we definitely do want to be recognized. It was fun. It's good. It's been fun. It still is. Meeting everybody from different parts of the country, and plus letting everybody see that, in childcare, you're sort of your own entity. But at the same time, as you see, you're not alone. There's thousands of us out here. There's more women than men, of course. Tell your husband he needs to work right alongside of you. It's great. Yes, we do get on each other's nerves sometimes. No, but, at the end of the day, we're still here. We're still together. The film has been great. It's been fun. We enjoy it. And I guess there's going to be a part 2 somehow, but we'll leave that for another time.
Amazing.
So, Ellen, what moments resonated in the film the most with you?
Whew, there was so much that resonated with me on so many levels. The quote, "I might have to remind myself I am human," just kept going through my head. I was struck by a similar situation as you with my brain, which is kind of ironic. And I had to close. And there's something about this feeling of when you can't help it, but you still feel really bad about having to close, and you're putting families out, and it's just so hard. And the other part was when Dolores talked about how your children had to share you growing up. And it reminded me, my son was 4 months old when I started and my daughter was 2. And, I thought I was going to be done doing childcare by the time they went to kindergarten, and now they're grown and getting married and have children. And, there was so much, but I love how the film illustrates so much unconditional love for those children. I could go on and on, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to right now. Was there anything, Dolores, that surprised you after you watched it back?
Oh, I feel like I got a lot of surprises from the film. Just being on television and seeing yourself and the things that you do throughout the day. And I didn't realize that I was that busy and my body was running so much. It just, when we do childcare, it's like you just doing it, you're not thinking. But when you actually see what you're doing on television, I'm like, wow, we are busy people. You're constantly cleaning, working, feeding, hugging, kissing, loving, wiping tears and everything. Even when the mothers walk in the door, they have problems. You're hugging, trying to, help them out, fixing plates and dinners and giving out food and finding toys for kids and stuff for the holidays, for the children and parents for holidays. I said, wow, daycare providers are a lot more busier than I thought we was. We are really like, we are community all by ourselves. That's how busy we are.
It's so true. I was thinking about how much you were like cleaning and how many times I know Amy's been on groups where I've talked about, wouldn't it be great to do a documentary about the day in the life? And boy, was it illustrated over and over and over again in the documentary. Tessie, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I think one of the big things that resonated with me, well, there was a couple of things. One was how struck one of the little girls were when you got sick, and how, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cry, and how sad she seemed and everything. And it reinforces how important the job is and how much you impacted the children in your community. And I love that. And everything. That is something that I've always wanted to do. And it was so great watching that you guys had such a positive impact and all the things. I'm also really jealous of your garden. I want one. But I also was really, one of the big things that I found myself thinking was, you got sick and then you came out and you were working, and I was so concerned. And I'm like, I know this movie's already, everything's already happened, but I'm looking at my screen going, oh my God, sit down. Yeah. I was like, oh, and then I kept remembering my husband keeps telling me to sit down too, and I don't listen to him. So I was like, I know he was probably in the background telling you to sit down for a little bit and being worried and stuff. And we don't listen. We feel like there's children to take care of, there's stuff to do, and we need to make sure that we're in it and doing it. But I was struck by the fact that happens a lot with us as as providers. We get sick, and then the minute we feel the teeniest bit better, we're like, okay, let's go. Right. We gotta go. There's people that need us.
I'm gonna really start and take this one. Yes. In fact, I don't even think we closed when you was in the hospital. No, but we didn't even think about closing. I went to the hospital. We have a great staff here. We have great parents. I just text them and let them. It still gets to me.
Okay.
I think that it really struck a lot of people, listening to, I think it was Diana that said that she doesn't know what she would do without you. And also, Dolores, you said something that in all of this, who takes care of me? And it's true. There's so much that we don't do. And when, I'm talking about self-care with providers, a lot of times, I'm not talking about going to get a massage or going to get your nails done. I'm talking about just your basic, like, are you drinking water? Are you eating lunch? I mean, how many times do we skip lunch because we're running around trying to wipe down 5 more things and change a diaper and wash our hands, and then all of a sudden it's 2 o'clock and we still haven't eaten lunch? And and the most basic of things like going to the bathroom, it's just, that's basic self-care, and getting our basic needs met are so important in this work in order for us to show up fully for children and families.
No, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, what are some of the ways that you set aside self-care to support you and your loved ones?
I think that one of the things that I talk to family, or not families, but families too, and providers a lot about is gratitude. And, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but just 3 things every single day, even if you're just writing it as a running list on something, but just waking up each day with gratitude and, positivity. I do a lot with appreciative inquiry, and part of that is having a growth mindset, and not to get stuck when you think things are going wrong or things are changing. It's, just gratitude. Dolores, what about you? What do you do for self-care?
First of all, when I wake up in the morning, I pray, and I thank God for getting me up and giving me the energy to do what I have to do today, and keep me calm, and keep me at peace. And I try to give myself like just a little bit of a meditation in the morning, of just putting myself together, of love, and thinking about the things that I am about to go down and do with the children. And if there's a child that really in a bad mood this morning, how would I help that child soothe his way into something good? I think about stuff like that. I think about my husband. I know he's down there, and he's going to be a big part of everything I do every day. I thank God that I have him, because he's a big part of everything that I do every day. And he always go, like if I come downstairs, like this is allergy season. I never had allergies so bad in my life. And he's like, why don't you just relax? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But, being a child care provider, it's just something you do. You don't understand relaxing. If you just sit down for 3 seconds, that's your relaxing. You're up and about again. And like you said, going to the bathroom, that's like totally impossible for me, because I have my babies knocking on the door. Nunu, are you in there? And I have to be quiet and pretend I'm not in there. So they'll stop knocking on the bathroom door so I can actually go to the bathroom. But,
right. It's crazy. You never get a moment to yourself.
Right.
I just want to answer, no, I'm not in here.
Right. I pray in the morning. I try to do a little bit of meditation, like just bring myself down to a calm before I come downstairs. And then, that's just myself taking care of myself. When I mean, sometimes I take bubble baths and things like that, but
when you can, right?
Tessie,
how has COVID impacted how you care for yourself?
I think mostly because I am one of those people. My husband had to force me to make sure that I took care of myself. And for a little bit, I forgot all the things that I like to do. So, and I used to go and get my nails done every Sunday and everything, and then sit in my room locked and do my hair, and then, and everything. And then COVID happened and I wasn't going anywhere. So I had to figure out what my hobbies were again, and get to know what we like to do, what I like to do. And then I forced my teenagers to play Uno with me every night. So
right.
now I think COVID made me think about making sure I took care of myself, because I'm running from morning to night, making sure everything is scrubbed down and explaining things to parents. And and stuff, and making sure that we have all the groceries we need for the week, so I don't have to go to the store too many times. It's just, it's a lot, and I had to refocus and make sure that even when we see the other side of the pandemic, I carry the thought that I needed to take care of myself and make myself sit down even more. It probably didn't help that I bought my house right when everything shut down.
Yes, that's
So,
hard.
Yeah.
Dolores, what about you? How has COVID impacted how you care for yourself?
Basically, see, when we've been taking care of the house and cleaning and way before this happened, you know, people think that just because this virus popped up, now it's time to clean. But we was doing that way before it happened, because as a provider, you have to keep everything clean, because, you know, germs is in the house, the kids come in sneezing, all kind of things. So you're constantly washing hands, washing faces, washing things down, keeping the toys and everything clean, and the floors and stuff clean, and the beds. So this is something we was doing from the beginning. So I think that's maybe why we never shut down. I'm not sure, but because it's something that we have been doing it before this even happened, when I first started, and even before that, because I had my children and I wanted to make sure they were safe and clean all the time when they were babies and stuff. So it didn't impact me as bad, except for losing children that I had here in the daycare that I had for ever since they was newborn babies. And then, you know, all of a sudden they're home with their parents, and then, you know, the parents lost their jobs. So now they didn't come back, and I'm getting new children in. So I'm learning new children all over again. So that it impact us when it comes to that, because I do keep in touch with my babies that I had forever. I constantly call them, they call me. Now they stop by every once in a while along with the parents. So but it's still a loss. It's a loss of love that you had, and it's like you sending your child off to college and you're not seeing them anymore the way you used to see them, you know, not getting those hugs and kisses. You can't even give hugs and kisses no more. You know, that's like a no now. You know, when you see a baby and he want to walk over and give you a hug, you hug him, but it's like, oh boy, you know, I hope nothing happened or anything like that. You can't even give him a little kiss on the cheek and different stuff. So it impact a lot, you know.
Yes, I had 50% turnover. We had to close for 10 weeks, and I had 50% turnover when I reopened, and one of the children was supposed to leave in September, but then ended up leaving sooner. And I felt like he had been with me since birth. And it was one of those things where it's like you're going through this grieving process of, you know, wait, I was supposed to have 3 more months with you. Like, this isn't fair. So that was really hard. Patrick, I have a question for you. And this is not on my script, so I'm going off script. Sorry, Tessie. Sorry, Amy. Patrick, you are such a strong male role model for these children. Do you know that? Do you realize what a strong role model you are for them? I mean, it's incredible.
We always say it, every child that comes in here is our child. We treat them as such. And when the parent comes back in the afternoon, then we release them back to the parent. So I guess I'll say it's a responsibility that we've taken on, because again, they are our children. So it's something that, you know, nothing I have to, and put a face on or, you know, change. It's just comes automatic. Soon as they come into our sphere, you know, they're ours, and we treat them as such, like they're our children. So, and hopefully that, you know, I am instilling, you know, a positive, you know, role model, father figure, parent figure to them, that, you know, they can rely on us, and we believe that it does work, and not with just, you know, me, because she acts like the, you know, the father, the mother, and vice versa, you know, it's sort of interchangeable, you know, even though male, female, but it's still interchangeable, that we work well together. And a lot of the families like seeing that, they, you know, and some, you know, say, wait, he changes Pampers, he does that. You know, you're a father at home, you do it. It's
Right.
the same thing.
Yes.
It's no different, except, yeah, biologically, that child is not our child, but here, that child is our child. In this place, that child is our child. So everything we do with our children, we do with other children. So it's great to see that it's a positive impact.
I love that. My husband works out of our home, but he's a general contractor, and he walks through and he sits down and he talks for a few minutes, and parents are always saying that they're just so happy that there's a male to sort of show that it's okay to hold children and pick them up and love them. And I just thought we can't let this hour pass without recognizing that children need to see that. They need to see strong relationships. And I think it's really important.
Can I just say one thing on that male relationship with the children? A lot of parents really, truly love the idea that he is here, because some of the parents are single parents and they don't have a father figure in their lives. And for him to be here with their sons and daughters especially, they really, like Diana, she really misses her father. She really do. And like, that's her papa, Diana and him are like two peas in a pot, I'm like, every time I see him, I see Diana. So it's great for children that does not have that male figure in their life to see a strong male figure and a male figure that's being a father.
Right. That bond that Yvette and Diana have with you is so strong. And I think just like hit us all so big in the heart that we were just like, oh. Tessie, go ahead.
No, I was saying my husband, sometimes he will come home from work and the kids will cheer for him. And I'm like, but I feed you. He like walks through like, Mr. Joe, and he knows which one's crying by the sound they're making, and they'll walk past him and he's like, is this a new one? What's your name? And stuff, and I'm like, you want to work here. I don't know why you're acting like you don't want to. So I don't think he thought he was going to enjoy what I do as much as he does and everything. And so when he's home from work, he's actually the one that cooks the lunches, and he comes in and asks questions, and he will sit there, but they also know that I'm more strict than him. So they're like, yay, he'll let us do anything.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that the truth?
And so, Dolores, does the pressure to engage in care come from within or outside yourself, or is it both? Like, do you feel something inside you that makes you want to do this?
Ever since I was a little girl, I mean, at the age of in Mississippi, when I was a little girl, I was always taking care of somebody's children in the neighborhood. Or and then when I came to New York, I was living down in the projects. I always had a babysitting job at the time. That's how I bought my school clothes and everything. But I always loved babies ever since I was little. Something about a baby, just holding a baby and just watching them move and their little toes and hands and just the smell of them. I don't know what it was, but I just love having a baby in my arm. I mean, so that comes from inside of me. And I feel like that's a gift that I received from God, that this is the reason why I'm on earth. Like everybody have a gift from God, or everybody have your situation that God put you here on earth. I think he put me on earth just to make sure that kids are safe and they're loved and that they're taken care of. And, all of them get together and see each other as one. There's no color, there's no religion. They're just one, one, they love each other, and that's all they see. And that's what I love about daycare. And that's what I know I can impact with the children when it comes in my daycare, because I have all people, all colors, religions, everything coming through my door. And I love that idea. I even learned how to cook their food, and we have the parents cook their food from their country, and we have big dinners and everything. So yeah, it comes from inside and work its way out and God shine it down on me. So
So this is a question for all of you. What are some of the economic and social structures that are in place that hinder you from getting the care and support that you need? It's a loaded question.
I mean, I got a lot to say about this. So I think one of the economic structure problems is that the way family child care is set up in this country to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
They're still thinking of us as babysitters who are doing this part-time. And like we are all on the ground floor, no matter how many years we do this, they keep thinking of us as people that are starting out on the ground floor, despite the fact that many of us have the experience, the time, the education to back it up, that we do professional development, that we are in the trenches with the families constantly. We are not given the same respect as other educators. And because I consider family child care providers educators. We provide preschool, we provide pre-K, we work hand in hand with therapists with children that have special needs to make sure that the children are reaching their goals. And when we don't have the funding from the government, when they underpay us compared to what they will pay a center for the same job, it's undermining our professionalism and our ability to do the job. How are we supposed to provide all the high quality that they keep saying that they want if they refuse to acknowledge that we are professionals and that we need the same funding in order for us to do it?
Yes. Thank you, Tessie. Dolores, Patrick, do you have anything to add?
Yes, agree with everything that Tessie said. As you can see, just shaking our head. Childcare providers need to be paid on par as schools. In other words, again, we need to be paid based on enrollment, not in attendance. All right, because you can't, how can you again, quality care, taking care of your bills, if let's say, the child is out because Aunt Susie came into town or something. So now the child is out for a week or two and you don't get paid for it. We're what is known in New York, in Westchester as Title 20. So we get paid for absences, but it's only 12 absences for every 3 months. Now, especially with COVID and things like that, Westchester County, and it might be all of New York, but definitely Westchester, they've been pretty good. They paid for unlimited absences. They took care of the parent fees. When the kids aren't even here, again, they paid for that. But one of the main reasons is because if they don't spend the money, the federal government isn't going to give them any more money. But it also shows the fact that once a child is approved, there's money for that child for the whole year. There is no reason why, even if that child is out sick or goes to the doctor for half a day, that providers are not paid based on the enrollment, based on the full day. They're not going to lose anything. Mm-hmm. All right. Schools, I believe schools get their funding maybe way back in September for the whole year. I could be wrong, but they get all their funding already. They don't have to, you don't hear schools worrying about, well, do we have to let teachers go for, half a day because a couple of kids stayed out sick or something like that. So we need to be paid based on enrollment, not attendance. That's definitely.
Thank you.
That is so true. And they need to, start paying attention to the parents. A lot of parents, they've got, they have 3 children or 2 children working 3 and 4 jobs and picking up their kids late at night and everything. And they're doing this because they're underpaid and everything. But then the state will say, okay, you have 2 children. The only amount of money you can make is $42,000. $42,000 isn't nothing for a family of 3 or 4. And then they kick them off if they get an extra job. So now they can't get an extra job to pay their bills because they're going to get kicked off and they have no child care. And they need to stop letting these kids stay at home at the age of 13 years old by themselves because they kicked them off overnight. And we have overnight parents that children are staying at home at the age of 13 years old. And they're fending for themselves because they aged out. How do that make any sense? They're still children. So
In a conversation that's happened here for years about the benefits cliff, that if, you know, somebody gets a raise, then they lose all of their benefits all at once. And it's such a challenging issue that is talked about nonstop. So trying to figure out how to fix that. There is a question in the chat, and it is from Louisa. How difficult is it to find staff willing to work the night shift? Are the same licensing credentials required for night staff as for day staff?
We are the night staff,
yeah,
so we don't have that issue. You know, it's one of us, you know, depending on the age of the child, you know, we're allowed to sleep with the, you know, with the parents' written permission, if we have to, but we are the night staff, so.
Excellent.
sleep separate. The child has his own
Yeah.
pad, and we sleep, you know, in a chair or on a pad or something too. And there are women that we have that will do night shift, but since we have such a low amount of children at night, it's a lot easier that we have hands on.
Right. Thank you. I know that it for us here in Vermont and probably nationally, it's definitely an issue to find staff that have the qualifications that we need to count them as staff. So definitely a challenge. There's another question. Penny said, I didn't get an opportunity to watch the film. I'm curious if you plan to unlock the link so we can still view the movie. Penny, that's a question for NAFCC. I can't answer that. So we'll go on from there. All right. Where are we, Tessie?
Well,
I'm sorry, May the 10th, I believe it is.
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
I think PBS is releasing the film for free May the 10th at 8 o'clock. I don't know if you have a PBS down on that channel down there, but up here is May the 10th at 8 o'clock. PBS will be releasing the film.
I'm writing that down right now. That is huge.
I saw that.
You are a superstar. That's huge. Tessie, where were we?
So what are some ways that you think the communities can support you in the work that you do?
Honestly, a few of the people in the community, they do kind of like support us. Our church, you know, they donate food and different stuff to help with the other parents. 95, the community action program, they help me if I call down, if I have a parent that's not can't afford their rent or they're getting evicted, they help me find legal aid lawyers for them, or they help me find grants to help them pay their rent. People that have their lights cut off, they help me. 95 will give me information who to call to have their lights put back on and different stuff. And there's another young lady, they call her Big Bib, and she's very active in the community, and she gives all kind of gets all kind of food and programs. And the first person she knock on is my door with toys, food, and hand sanitizers, wipes, anything like that. I mean, but it still should be more. I mean, that's stuff that we're passing out to a few parents, but everybody should be active in the community when it comes to daycare providers, because we put all out there and they see us, you know, with the children, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with knocking on the door and saying, hey, can I help you with a little something? You know, stuff like that. Now it's really, they're really helping since this essential stuff happened, which we have been essential the whole entire time. But now all of a sudden we got the name as essential workers. Well, they don't even respect that, because they say other people, you never hear them say providers are essential workers. So, but now people are knocking on the door, they're giving me books. I wake up in the morning, I have 5-6 bags of clothes and stuff on the steps and stuff. So I get a lot of help with the community now since this film came out. And thanks to Lorna, that's my sweetheart. Thanks to her, you know, showing who we are and what we do, you know,
I love that.
Getting a little help now.
I think one of the ways the community can support all of us, and this has happened here in Vermont, but we also have a very small state. Let me just put that out there. We only have about 650,000 people for our population in Vermont. So there's perspective there. But one of the things that our community did was an education of the general public on the importance of early care and brain development. And that had a huge impact on changing how people thought about early care and education. And I talk about that a lot with people when I'm talking about what my job is. And I came across a quote from Bill Gates a long time ago that says, the first 5 years have so much to do with how the next 80 turn out. And, you know, there's so much truth to that. I believe that once the knowledge is out to people about the importance of brain science, then early childhood educators will be more supported. So that's sort of what my thinking is. But what are some ways that childcare providers can support each other?
Oh, associations. I think we work by ourselves so much, or we have like a limited, like right now, I know literally no providers in my area.
Mhm.
So, and it was very hard. I think especially for the military community kind of like separates military providers from the rest of the state providers. So we don't get to know each other outside of the military base. And there was literally only 2 providers. I was one of 2 providers and then I left. And there was only 1 provider on base. And trying to get to know some people off base has been really hard. Trying to now because of COVID, I can't get together with nobody. But when I was trying to reach out and get together with people, it was like I think they view me as more as a competition instead. So because I reached out a couple times and was like, hi, I'm new to the area, I'm a provider, would you guys like to meet? And they're like, who's this chick? So it was it's very hard trying to, I think we need to learn to get together more, and so that we build our own support structures in our areas for when things like this happen, so we can help each other.
Yes,
I would agree with that.
associations and unions.
Yes.
In New York, we have a child care provider union, voice of organized independent child care educators with CSEA and ASME. And again, as Tessie says, you know, a lot of times you don't know the provider, could be down the street, could be over there. And childcare should not be competition, but that's how a lot of people look at it. Like, you know, like I said, why is this person, you know, want to know about what I do? Or you know, they're trying to take my children or something like that. And we tell people, we refer a lot of children to other providers that we know, because, you know, we're well known. We've been doing this for a lot of years. So, you know, a lot of people, you know, they read about us online, and the Child Care Council refers us. And so a lot of people call us. We would like to take everybody that calls us. We feel we can, but obviously due to regulations and things like that and the ratios. But we refer out to a lot of other providers. In fact, one of our parents that we used to provide childcare for, we got Nunu had got them started in daycare. So now they have a successful daycare business. But we refer a lot of people because childcare should not be a competition. You know, if you can't help someone, pass it on to somebody else, and it does come back to you. You know, and we're not looking for, you know, hey, great, thanks for here's $5 or something like that. Just knowing that you helped somebody. We can't help them maybe physically here, but we can help them redirecting them. And a lot of parents will call back and say, you know, thanks. You know, people are surprised that you're giving them information that's going to help them. You know, instead of saying, yeah, I don't have room, goodbye. No, because later on, it might be a year, 2-3 years later, that parent's going to come back to you because they remembered that, you know what, they didn't help me on this child. And some have said, you know what, two children, I have now on my 3rd child. Do you have room now for this child? You know, and I remember, and they come back to you. So helping people is not a competition.
So
Definitely hook up with your associations and a union.
One of the questions someone had is what Edith was asking what the ratios are in New York.
We can have 16 children but we need 2 providers with 16 children. But we have 16 children and we have 6 providers here because I feel like each child need a certain amount of time and need a certain amount of care. And my eyes, I don't have eyes in the back of my head like I claim I do, because I try to look everywhere, but sometimes, yes, but sometimes I need those extra eyes. So it's 16 to 2, but we have 6 to 16.
Wow. And
That's
are you
technically
considered a
12 plus
large group home?
Excuse me?
Are you considered a large group home?
No, just a group family.
Group family.
Okay,
It's technically 12 plus 2. You can have 12 and then 4 after schoolers. But
got it.
in the summer, you can have 16. But we definitely, like Nunu says, yeah, it could. We only really need 2 of us. But if we want really quality care, not babysitting, not, okay, here, you do this for 9 hours, you're building blocks for 9 hours, and you guys are looking at TV for 6, 7 hours. No, you want quality care. Yeah, it cuts into to your income. Yeah, but in the long run, all the money in the world doesn't replace what you're doing to a child that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 years later is going to benefit. Like they said, the first 5 years, because the child, after they leave, from the home, they hit daycare before they hit a school, before they hit a center, they hit home-based. The parents that, don't have a nanny or somebody at their house, they hit home-based daycare first. And yeah, we should be treated the same way as they pay the centers, as they pay the schools, because we are the ones, along with the parent, but especially we're the ones that get them ready for ABCs and everything else in school and writing. We take that very seriously here. We didn't go to college, but all our children, except for one, went to college and master's degree, bachelor's degrees, summa cum laude, however you pronounce the nonsense, all of that stuff, dean's list, everything like that. So we definitely take it very seriously.
I loved that Dolores made that comment about how they're going to grow up to be lawyers and doctors and parents and whatever else you said. But that was really cool, because it is so much fun when you've been in it this long, watching the children grow up, because you feel like you were such a huge part of that. And then they keep coming back to see you, and it just is like this circle of love. I wanted to ask you, because we have a little bit of time, if you had to think back, and this is going to be a loaded question, but if you had to think back over the past 47 years, is that what you said? 47?
48.
48. If you had to think back over the last 48 years, what has been a bright spot for you, Dolores, and you, Patrick?
My bright spot was when I realized that I was actually needed in the neighborhood. I started my daycare from a basement apartment and worked my way up to a house. And now we're working on a second house to open up for the children. But when I found out I was needed in the neighborhood, and people will walk up to me and go, "Oh boy, you took care of such and such child so well. Could you take care of my baby? And you're such a wonderful person." People always give me so many compliments about the way I take care of children and childcare. So when I found out that I was needed in the neighborhood, and when I married this man, that was a bright spot in my life, because I knew that me and him being together, that's something that God put together and nobody can pull apart. So I definitely, when he came along, I knew things was going to be okay. I mean, I had a great father, don't get me wrong, and a beautiful mother, but when you have a father and a mother both that works together, you tend to look for the same thing in your life when you grow up. And I didn't look, God sent him to me. And then when I met him, he was like, "Okay, this is gonna work." Definitely. I told him, "You're gonna be my husband. We're gonna have 3 kids, whether you like it or not."
I do love the way the documentary talks about your love story. it really sort of, I don't know, brings this life to your relationship as you're going through all of these holidays and saying goodbye to children. And it was just really beautiful. Patrick, what for you has been a bright spot over the last however many years you've been doing early care and education?
Well, you obviously you're giving me a get out of jail free card because I'm supposed to say this is my bright spot.
Oh my
okay?
God, I can't
All right,
believe this man.
automatic. But I think I guess the bright spot would be when back in 1992, ever since he opened up, we've always worked together. But I worked for a bank, computer operations, proof in transit, manager, things like that. And most of the time, a lot of times it was in charge of 24-hour shifts at the bank, working overnights. So I would help her anyway. I work on, let's say, 4 hours of sleep. My body is fine with that. So I would help her, let's say, to 6 o'clock at night, go to bed, get back up at 10, work overnight at the bank, get back home in the morning and help her. So I guess the brightest spot was back in 1992 when the bank was bought out by another bank. And they said, you know, Pat Hogan, thank you for your 18 years of service. We no longer need you. And that was it. So now I was home full time, you know, didn't have to worry about getting up at night, getting up in the morning. And so I guess that's the bright spot when we, you know, fully integrated into working in the child care.
I think it's so true that so many family child care providers walk into this business not realizing what it's going to turn into. For me, I was working in a dental office. I had 2 children under 2 and could not find quality care. And I think I fell into it with no experience, but knew I liked kids. They were okay. And I decided that I was going to do this, and I was only going to do it for a few years till they went to kindergarten, and I'm just going to do it till they're in middle school. Well, I'll be done when they're in high school. And, you know, what's become of it has been, you know, education, getting involved, advocating, which really is a great strategy in keeping from burning out. If you're staying involved, it certainly helps the burnout situation and stress.
See, and I'm a weirdo because at 5 years old, I told my mom I was going to join the military and be a teacher. And then I went off and did both. And then, but I got out of the military when I had my first and was like, I want to, I went and did a observation in a first grade classroom, and the little girl walked up to me and said, "Is that your real voice?" And I was like, "Nope. We'll teach 5 and below." And I entered a kindergarten classroom for another observation, and the teacher was talking about children that fall through the gaps, the achievement gap, because they didn't have access to high quality education, and that boutique preschools tend to price out people that needed early education and everything. And so these children were missing this key component. And I was like, well, I don't like listening to anybody, so maybe I should work for myself. So I finished my degree when I was coming back from Germany, and decided that had my whole business and everything decided and stuff, and was trying to pick out if I was going to do Head Start or work for myself. And I was like, I'm working for myself. And turned my entire basement in my brand new house into a preschool pre-K, and everybody, and I started getting people driving in from the next town over and everything. And I was getting recommendations, and I got really worried when we had to move to California if I was going to be able to do it again, keep up the momentum. And I realized that I was, because now I've got people registering for my program before they even hit the state and stuff. They get orders here and they call and they're like, "We heard about you from somebody that got stationed here. We want to know if you have spots for the next school year." And I'm like, I'm not even thinking about the next school year. But I think I love this job. I love teaching children. I hate paperwork, but I love the job. So
That's awesome. Dolores and Patrick, I have a question for you. And Just a logistics question. When you had the cameras in your home doing this documentary, did you know what the parents were saying when they would interview the parents or ask the children a question? Did you know what their answers were going to be before the film?
No, we actually just walked away when they was interviewing the parents. We wanted the parents to have to say what the truth was and what they felt. So we actually just when we did see them interviewing the parents, we walked away, went and did something else because the love and the care that I give my parents, I knew it wouldn't be anything bad because they don't have anything bad to say about me or my husband or my family because we all one big family here. So I walked away and let them say what they had to say or whatever they had to feel, and it was fine. I didn't have not one fear in the world that something bad was going to be said. And if it was, then it would have told me that then you better do something better.
I want to just tell you that I think how authentic everything was in the film, from, Patrick telling one of the kids that they were going to be in the belly of a worm, and those little, poking and fun at each other, and all of it just made it so authentic and real, which I think has made this such a successful documentary. And I'm so happy for you to have allowed people into your home and into your life, because it's very vulnerable to put yourself in that position and open yourself up to that. So I want to thank you very much. And I look forward to hearing all of the places this goes, because it's so exciting. So Amy.
Thank you very much. This was great, you guys. We want to thank Homegrown again for sponsoring this screening, and thank you, Dolores, Patrick, Ellen, and Tessie, our wonderful panelists. This is the second live gathering we've hosted this year, and NAFCC is excited to continue bringing you all together to support the heroic work you do, highlight the crucial impact that your programs create for children, families, and communities, and help voice the lasting imprint that it truly leaves for generations. While there may only be one official Provider Appreciation Day, we honor and celebrate you every day. Happy Provider Appreciation Day and week, as we're calling it, and have a wonderful Saturday, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and happy Provider Appreciation Day.
Happy Provider Appreciation Day.
Same thing. And Through the Night was a love letter to all the providers, because we do wonderful jobs, all the providers, and love all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dolores, Patrick, Tessie.
Thank you.
Yeah.